Hey guys, what is up? Happy Tuesday. I hope you're having a really great day. So I am very excited to talk to you about there's my phone. I guess I should put this on silent. What I wanted to do was to introduce you to a really good friend of mine. He's a search engine optimization expert. But before we do that, what I wanted to do is kind of give you guys a background on who I am and what I've done. My name is Sonya Lee. I am also known as the Boss Coach. I've been an entrepreneur for about 20 years, and I built a nonprofit, which is still around. I run a design agency for close to 10 years. I've built 3 tech startups, 2 of which are successful. And yeah, I'm a user experience specialist, and I've been consulting, very lucky to be consulting with a lot of Fortune 100 companies. So anyways, I would love to introduce you to my friend. His name is Slava, and let's see if we can find him. There he is. Hi, Slava. So
Hi,
happy to
Sonya.
have you here on this show, and I'm glad we could make time to connect.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So let's get started. Let's just jump straight into it. I'd love to, I know a lot about you. I know how amazing you are. I still refer people to you as the SEO expert. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone where you're from and how you got to where you are?
All right. So my name is Slava Rybalka, and originally I come from Belarus. It's a country in Eastern Europe. I used to be a teacher, a school teacher of English. My first language is Russian, by the way. And one day I realized that I don't want to be a teacher, and I want to connect my future life with IT and with computers and with helping people in some way. So I decided to find out like what job or what occupation would suit me the best. So I did a simple exercise. For example, I figured out that I had certain skills and I liked to do certain things. Like for example, I liked programming, but I did not want to become a programmer, like a typical programmer. I liked psychology. I liked marketing. I liked dealing with people, and I liked helping people. So I sat and tried to figure out what would be the intersect of all these things. And it turned out that search engine optimization was the profession that kind of encompassed all of these skills and interests. And this is how I got into search engine optimization. Like once I figured out that for myself, that this is what I want to be doing, right away I just started learning everything I could find on the web about it. And right then at that point, I decided that I want to become number one SEO specialist in the world.
So for those who are watching and we keep saying SEO, like I know what it is, you know what it is. Can you describe the value
Absolutely.
of SEO and why people spend a
Yeah, so absolutely. So SEO is search engine optimization. It's one of the marketing channels or one of the ways of attracting clients to your business through your website. Most of the times people are familiar with paid search. It's when you pay money to Google or to Bing in exchange for the ads. And as long as you keep paying, your ads are being shown at the top of search results for some keyword. And that's called paid search. Search engine optimization is quite the opposite. So instead of paying money to Google, you work on your website. Basically, you just you update the website, you add more content, you tweak it a little bit here and there. And what you want to do, you make it, you focus on UX as well, and you adjust it for the purpose of the consumer. So that when people are typing something in Google, when they have a certain search intent and they're looking for to find the answers to their questions, they go to Google, and Google decides that your website suits their search query the best. So they rank your website or certain pages of your website at the very top of their search result, at the first page. And this is where 99% of all the attention goes. So at the very top of the search results, and this is how you get the traffic, because people start clicking on the search results and come to your website.
Right.
And this is a highly targeted traffic because there is search intent. People are looking for the information.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is the higher you can rank on a search engine like Google or Yahoo or Bing. Do people use Bing?
Some people do.
Yeah. So the higher you come up in the search results, the more organic traffic you can get.
Yes, correct.
And organic traffic is free traffic, and we like free.
Well, yes, I don't like to call it free traffic because you
Uh-huh.
have to pay with your time. Or
Oh,
you actually have to pay either to the SEO consultant or you have to commit some time to learning how to do that right. And like I think like in any profession, there are lots of details and lots of things that you need to be aware of. Like,
mhm.
for example, Google's algorithms, like Google Panda, Google Penguin, and there are lots of them. And if you're just starting and you don't know how to deal with these algorithms or what's right, what's wrong, like how to optimize your website, then you should start with SEO guides. Like there are some really great SEO guides for beginners out there, and
Mm.
you should start with these guides, and it will give you the good start.
Okay. All right. So what have you, so I've known you since 2009. What have you been doing?
Yeah, so in 2009, I was still in Belarus and I've been trying to make the ends meet. I signed up to a website called odesk.com, which is a freelance platform. And this is how I made my first steps in SEO. I started taking orders there. So basically, I started with the blogs. I read all the information I could find about search engine optimization there because I did not have any experience. And I started bidding for the projects, like for some simple projects out there. Literally something like if somebody was searching for SEO consultants to build them 10 backlinks for $5, I raised my hand and I was like, hey, I can do that job. I'm the SEO specialist. And yeah, I just wanted to put my foot in the door and, just to get the things going. And luckily enough, there were a couple of clients who trusted me, and I started working for them. And you were one of these clients, in fact.
Hmm.
So thank you for that. Thank you for your trust. And so, in fact, lots of my success, I think, can be attributed to your trust to me back then.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, that's true. So and so I started little by little, and then my wife won a green card lottery, which is diversity visa lottery, and we had the chance to come to the US in 2011. So in 2011, I started applying for jobs, and I started sending resume all over the place.
Yeah.
And we were located in San Diego, and I sent 30 resumes. I remember sending 30 resumes to companies in San Diego, and just one resume went to a company in Los Angeles. And they got that phone call from Los Angeles, and that ended up in a job offer. So we moved to Los Angeles, and then I spent like 3 years there with that company. And then I opened my own company, which is called Athena Marketing Solutions. And the reason why I opened it is that by that time I had accumulated some people who referred their friends to me, and I had to organize it somehow. So that's why I registered a company and I started consulting people, basically doing the same job I was doing at my day job, same work, but for site clients on the side. And then I got a job offer from Texas, and I moved to Texas. And then in Texas, I got another job offer from a company in Florida. So here I am right now. I'm in Florida. So all these years I've been doing search engine optimization, just learning and practicing and improving and just doing SEO.
I'm back.
Okay. Where did
Sorry
you,
about that.
It was such a great story. I liked it myself.
I am back.
All right.
So I guess, with all of these different opportunities, it's really validated to you and also to me as well that search is something that's really important to any business, anybody who wants to have a presence online. What are some of the tips and tricks that you might be able to share with us and how it can affect those who have an online business?
Yeah, so there are several tips I could share, definitely. Some things they're evergreen, despite the times are changing and there are different things that become more popular or less popular. But some things are fundamental. And so, for example, one of such things is making your website as fast as possible and fixing the errors on your website. So your website should not have any errors, like ideally, it should not have any errors and it should be lightning fast. So in order to do that, you want to invest in a good hosting provider. You want to have good servers.
Yeah.
You want to have good uptime, so your website is live every any minute. You want to fix any errors on your website, like errors 404 when the page is not found, because if the page is not found, then Googlebot, when it's crawling websites, it comes to your website, it sees that your website has lots of page not found errors, like the page does not exist.
So broken pages.
Exactly. And they start diminishing the value or decreasing the value of your website and search results. So they start crawling your website less and less because they don't trust your website anymore. So that's one of the things. And that's related to technical SEO.
Okay.
There are three parts. It's technical SEO, there is on-site SEO, and there is off-site SEO. So the tip for technical SEO is to make sure you don't have any errors on your website. Make sure your website is very fast, crawlable, and indexable by Google.
That's like a whole mouthful. I'm like, so you said there were different kinds of SEOs that you had mentioned. Can you describe the difference between them?
Yeah, of course. So the technical SEO deals with the page code of your website, everything related to how your website is coded, how it's presented to the visitors, etc. If it's mobile friendly or not, if it's fast or not,
Okay.
etc. So on-site SEO, it's everything related to content on your website. How your website is structured, what's the layout of your website, what menu items you have, what main pages, what core pages you have, like topical pages you have on your website, how they're interlinked with one another, what kind of content you have. Do you have lots of articles or not? How big these articles are, like how many words each article has. What kind of content do you have on your website? Is it just the wall of text, or do you have images and videos and
to break it up?
Exactly, other user engaging elements, so people are entertained when they come to your website. They're not bored, they're entertained, and they learn something new on your website.
So that's a little bit of user experience as well.
Exactly. It's right now, today, everything is connected. SEO cannot be regarded as a siloed part of marketing.
Yeah.
It's became very densely connected with UX. And in fact, there are speculations that some user-specific metrics are put into Google's algorithm regarding how Google is ranking websites.
Interesting. Okay. What else can you tell us?
Yeah, so that was about technical SEO and on-site SEO. There is also the third part, which is off-site SEO. And off-site is everything that happens off your website. And here we're going to be talking about link building or link acquisition, because backlinks or links pointing from other websites to your website are very important. It's like votes. So let's say if you're a famous person and lots of people can vote for you, then everybody knows that you have the authority. And it's the same principle that was put by Google into their core algorithm at the beginning. So the more links you have from other websites pointing to your website, the better. those links should be of high quality and they should be relevant. So let's say if your website is about UX and there is another website about, I don't know, like plumbing, let's say, and they link to you, that link is not relevant. So that link would not do you lots of good, or
Okay.
would not pass lots of link juice to you.
Yeah. So what's the best way to get, you know, what did you call them? Backlinks and
Yeah,
link backs?
absolutely.
I don't know.
Backlinks.
Yeah.
So there are multiple ways, like literally there are hundreds of ways, and it's all limited by your creativity. And also, it's very important to understand that there are no two same businesses. Like every business is unique, and based on your target customers, on your target personas, and based on your core values and your branding and your messaging, they can be one link building methods can work and other link building methods might not work.
Okay.
So there are lots of ways. I have an SEO cheat sheet on my website for 2019, and in that document I've accumulated some link building methods that would still work in 2019.
Okay.
So
Wow. So do you think that SEO has changed over the years? Obviously, you and I started working together in 2009.
yeah,
How is it different from back then or
it's
today?
it's very different in terms of techniques and methods of implementation search engine optimization, but the foundation is the same. Like for example, back in the days, we used to do lots of link building. Like everything was about link building. We did not care about the quality of the content on the website. Everything was about acquiring as many links as possible, despite the quality of these websites that were linking to you. So it could be social bookmarks, or spam commenting on other websites, or just whatever worked. And then Google issued these algorithms. For example, Google Penguin algorithm was aimed to seize those tactics to stop people from building bad backlinks. And the Google Panda algorithm was aimed to stop people from putting bad content on the website, like low quality content. And nowadays, around 2015, Google switched to machine learning and to neural networks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there used to be a search quality assessment team, literally a group of people who decided whether your website should be ranking higher or lower in search results. But then they did this test when they compared the results of the search quality assessment team to the results of the neural network, and turned out that the neural network performed like 7% better in figuring out which website deserves to rank higher.
Before you even get into that, what the heck is neural network?
Yeah, good question. So neural network is basically it's a system. It's like a computer program, but it's how to explain that? It's a system, and it takes data as the input. So let's say if you have input about your customers, or some data about your customers, or data about weather, or just anything, and you want to predict something, like what would be the weather like in future, like in 3 days from now, or what customers from your list would you could predict, let's say, lifetime value of a customer.
Okay.
So you could feed that data into that algorithm, into a neural network, and the neural network will produce the output with a very high accuracy. And on the inside, there is lots of mathematical operations, like basic mathematical operations, and it's like a black box under the hood. So people,
wait,
yes.
Sorry, so many questions. So how is a neural network different from an algorithm?
It's an algorithm.
Oh, it's an algorithm. Okay, got it.
It's an algorithm, but it's a complex algorithm.
I see.
It's like lots of mathematical, basic mathematical calculus type operations put together. And neural networks work with lots of data, with lots of numbers. So it understands the numbers and it can output the desired result. So that's why people use them in many things right now. Like, for example, in digit recognition, in image recognition, or for example, in Google Translate, That's another neural network that's used in Google Translate. Um, it's actually used in a number of things right now. So they applied it to search results, and they figured out that it performs better than a team of people. And they decided to create this algorithm called RankBrain. And RankBrain is Google's algorithm aimed to rank websites.
Okay.
So all these things that used to work prior to 2015, like let's say exact match keyword in title, like putting your keyword in the page title of your website or the web page, or let's say having mentioning your target keyword 5 times on your web page, or other things that we could kind of predict or kind of understand, they stopped working. And it's a combination of different factors that work right now. So we cannot say exactly like if we do A, we'll get B. What we can do right now, we can say, here is the list of search quality assessment guidelines from Google. Here are the best practices. Here is the consumer, and we should be focusing on the consumer.
Okay.
And this is the best thing we could do.
Okay.
To rank.
What are some really scary things that you've seen about Google and what they're searching and collecting data on?
It's a good question. Like if you could give me some, like if you could elaborate a little bit, because I could go to different.
I mean, you know, everybody talks about data. Data is king. Just as they say, content is king.
Yeah.
So obviously, there's a lot of there are a lot of neural networks, a lot of algorithms that are constantly crawling the internet. What is Google collecting that we don't know that they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're collecting lots of data. Again, I can only say something that I read somewhere, or I mean, I don't work there, so I don't know exactly what's going on there. But as you know, there is Google Chrome browser.
Yes.
Google Chrome is the engine under the hood that processes all the information that we enter, either be it Google or be it some other website, etc. So in theory, the person who owns Google Chrome can have access to all that information. I mean, it can be coded or it cannot be coded. That I don't know. But let's say if you and I build a browser and people start using this browser, obviously we'll have access to all that information that goes through it, right? So what I know for sure is that Google is tailoring the search results to people's requests, to people's searches, and it depends on multiple things. So for example, if you and I would be searching for the same keyword on Google, we'll be seeing different results. And that's because of your location and my location. You're in Los Angeles, I'm in Florida. It's because our previous search history of the things that we searched before. It also used to be because of our Google Plus data. Like for example, if our friends on Google Plus liked something, our search results for the consecutive searches will be slightly skewed by that data, but by that information.
Okay.
As well. And there are lots of other things.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that because let's just say, for example, hypothetically, that I'm shopping for shoes online, and then all of a sudden I get 10 million ads on shoes.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're talking about, right?
That's retargeting. That's retargeting, and that's also machine learning, I believe, because these algorithms, they become so sophisticated right now. So even as we speak, our phones are collecting information, and that's why, like, if we mention some brands, after the conversation, we could see some ads on our phones or just on the web related to what we were talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to jump into something a little bit more advanced. And if anybody has any questions while they're watching, let me know, post it in the comments below. And Slava, I know you and I we can talk nerdy all day long, but there are a lot of people who don't speak the way that we speak.
Okay.
So this next question, if you could answer as simply as possible without excluding anybody, that would be really great. But you had mentioned to me that you started learning Python, which is a coding language.
Yes.
But see, what's interesting to me is Python is coding, but you mentioned somewhere that it's applicable to marketing. How?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Python, it's a tool. It's a skill. Like it's so once you learn a programming language, or once you learn how to use that tool, you start understanding how you could apply that tool to other things that you are doing. So, for example, if you learn how to use a hammer, you could think about how you could apply the hammer for different tasks, like let's say driving the nail to the wall,
Mhm.
or just knocking on something else, like I don't know, just maybe you need to do something else with the hammer or some other tool. So Python is just a tool.
Okay.
So what I like about it is that it's relatively simple to grasp, and of course it takes time to get a good command of it, but it's relatively simple to start with. And once you open your creativity and you start thinking like open-mindedly and start thinking like, okay, what can I do? Like I have this skill, I have this tool, and this is my task. What can I do with that tool? How can that tool help me? Primarily, I use Python to save lots of time because, for example, if I'm working with data, or let's say I'm pulling information about keywords from a tool like SEMrush, I'm downloading the CSV file from SEMrush, and it contains the information about the keywords, like where I'm ranking, on which position, what's the search volume, what's the competition, etc. So I can create a computer program in Python that would run the analysis on that CSV file, and it will output some meaningful, digestible result.
Okay.
So like in human-friendly manner. And this is something that I did at one of my previous jobs when I had to report on, when I had to provide the insights on on a big CSV file
Mm.
every week. So instead of just manually doing that, I wrote a computer program, and literally when I clicked the button, I got the result in 30 seconds. I got the exact analysis, I got the text ready to be copied and pasted
Got
into
it.
some
So
report.
you're basically using code to automate your analysis, your research, and then digesting it, letting the machine
Yeah.
analyze the data, and then saying, "Hey, like 5 out of 10 links are broken." Is that right?
That's one of the applications. So one of the applications is that you could use Python to speed time, to increase, to reduce some time needed to do some task, like some boring task, like to
Okay.
automate things, right? Another way to use that is to get the insights. Like for example, these neural networks or some machine learning algorithms, they are coded in Python. Lots of them are coded in Python.
Mm.
So, so you could predict the customer churn rate, for example, or you could predict.
So I know what churn is, but what does churn mean to you?
Like what I put into that word like is the percentage of customers that will stop stop buying from you, for
Got it.
example, for some time. That's my understanding of that term.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could predict lots of things using Python. It's like a tool. You could work with text. So one of the applications for search engine optimization, for example, is you could use a Python program to analyze the top 10 search results for a given keyword on Google.
Mm.
You could retrieve the texts of the top 10 search results, and you could compare that top cohort of highest ranking pages to the page you want to rank for that keyword, and see what are the matches, what are the gaps, what are the opportunities for content.
Oh my
So,
gosh, that's sneaky.
well, that's one of the ways to do that. That's all about
So
creativity.
yeah, so instead of finding one competitor and figuring out what they're doing, you're taking the top 10 listings
Mhm.
and I guess creating an average of
Exactly.
what they're doing.
Yeah, it's the average, and plus it's a little bit more sophisticated. You use natural language processing, which is a part of machine learning, to extract the meaningful phrases and you see how these meaningful phrases relate to your keyword or to your content that you're trying to rank.
I see. That's crazy.
You asked about advanced stuff, so
I did. I'm paying for it right now. All right, so I have another question.
all right.
So on my website, I don't have any blogs. On our previous project, what you and I worked on, it was just a giant blog. So there are 10
Yeah.
million articles out there. But with my new website, sonyalee.io, I don't have any blog posts written. When I'm writing my content, do I need to repeat one keyword 10 times? Are there rules as to how this works?
No, what I recommend doing right now and going forward to 2019 is you want to, first of all, you want to understand who your target audience is,
Okay.
and you want to create the marketing persona. Once you understand who your targeting persona is, who your buying persona is, you want to figure out what drives them, what question they're trying to solve. And once you figure that out, with that knowledge, you will know what to write about. And now you start outlining the content topics that would be great in answering the questions that they have.
Okay.
And there are tools on the web that you could use to retrieve the questions people ask in relation to certain topics. One of these tools is called answerthepublic.com, and you could enter a keyword and it will output the related questions that people ask.
Okay.
So what I recommend doing is to figuring out what people are looking for, what your target personas are looking for, and provide answers to these questions. Don't focus on specific keywords. Write naturally. You want to mention the exact keyword at the very top of your page, and in page title and in page meta description of that page you're trying to rank. But don't focus too much about keyword density or mentioning your keyword like 5 or 6 times throughout the content. Just make sure it's at the very top of the page. And once visitors come to your website, they can find the answer to their question really fast. So that's the most important thing.
Okay. And then what you said earlier is to use a good mix of photography and text.
Absolutely.
What about what are those called? The captions for the images?
Alt tags.
Yeah, alt text.
Yeah. So alt text initially was created for visually impaired people because people who used programs to read the text from the computer screen, they used to utilize alt text behind the images to understand what the image is about. And it's important to understand that that's the purpose of the alt text, and that's why we need to use them. And that's again, it's going back to UX and going back to serving the consumer and providing the best value for people who are visiting our websites.
Right.
So, yeah, so alt tags are important. Page titles and page meta descriptions are important. And it's very important to provide very detailed answers to the questions that people ask.
Okay. I thought you were going to give me some super secret formula as to how to write a magical blog post that would have higher SEO rankings, but I didn't get that.
No, well, I sure can.
Yeah? Okay. Let's go for it.
Yeah. So here's the secret that I learned at one of the conferences just last year. And the secret, again, this is one of the methods. There are lots of methods, but this is just one of them. If you want to create a great evergreen content that will attract lots of visitors over time, and that would be Google algorithm proof. So despite any changes in SEO or in the way Google ranks websites, your content will still be evergreen. It will still be attracting lots of visitors. Here is the formula. First, it consists of 5 parts.
Okay.
So first of all, your content should be based on data. So let's say you have some data that nobody else has, like it's some proprietary data or some data that you've discovered during your work. So nobody else on the web has that kind of data, right? So your content is based on data. Your content has great design. So it's visually appealing, it's visually interesting. It's not just a wall of text, but it's something really good to look at,
Okay.
right?
Attractive.
Yes. So with data design, then the content should be distinct. So it means that it should be different from anything else on the web on that topic.
Okay.
It should also contain some drama.
Drama.
Drama, yes. So,
Oh,
for example, it can be your success story put into the content.
okay.
It should trigger some emotions,
Okay.
right? So we have data, design, drama, distinct, and to be honest with you, I forgot what's number 5.
But throw in a fifth one. Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's have some mystery. But I mean, I can provide that information in the comments under the video
Okay. Yeah, that'd be really great.
as the fixed part.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
that's the recipe for success. I mean, if you manage to provide, if you'll be able to provide the content like that contains all these pieces, that will secure your spot ahead of the competitors for
Okay.
any topic.
Actually, I do have a relevant question. I heard from somebody that it's better to use personal photography than it is to use stock photography. Is that correct?
I heard the same thing. I would rather say yes rather than no, because again, if you put a file on the web that has never been used anywhere else before, that provides authenticity. That provides some expertise. Like when Google bot, which is a Google's program of crawling the website, when Googlebot comes to your website and they crawl your website and they see that new file, which is an image, and they realize that this image has never been found anywhere else on the web, they give you credit for that.
Okay.
Because lots of information on the web is regurgitated, like there's lots of repetitive information.
Yeah.
So as long as you provide something unique, like your personal take on your topic of interest or your personal experience, as long as you put it in your content, you will benefit from it.
Okay. That's interesting. So, an interesting thought that popped up is that Craigslist doesn't have any photos. How do they do so well?
Well, they do have some photos. As far as I remember, you can attach photo to a
That's
listing.
true.
Yeah, so I mean, Craigslist is an old website. It has
Yeah.
lots of authority, and most of this authority comes from the links and mentions. It's been out there for so long that lots of websites have been linking to it.
Oh, yes.
That's one thing. Another thing is that it has lots of pages, and these pages are linking to each other. And every page of your website that is on that appears on the web, it has some portion of link equity.
Okay.
So the more pages of your website you have, the better. But of course, these pages should be of high quality. So
Okay.
imagine you have a website like Craigslist with hundreds of thousands of pages, and all these pages are linking back to each other, thus crediting each other with the link juice.
Makes sense.
So that's why it's kind of boosts the whole website up.
Yeah. Craigslist is awesome. I've hired two of my best developers on Craigslist out of all places. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So I overheard you say earlier as well, and we're gonna go nerdy, is that you have been learning, you picked up machine learning and also AI, artificial intelligence.
Right.
It's somehow applicable to marketing. How?
Yeah. So first of all, I started learning about it when I realized that Google made that shift from the search quality assessment team to machine learning. So I figured out that in order for me to be able to compete with them, or actually to go hand in hand with them, I need to understand what it is. I need to understand how to use that. So that's why I signed up for a course on Udacity on machine learning, and I graduated in 2015. I think at the end of 2016.
Mhm.
I'm wrong. So I got this nano degree in machine learning, so I can build the machine learning models right now. And right now I'm studying deep neural networks, which is the next level. And
Mhm.
artificial intelligence, it's a larger area. It not only has machine learning in it or neural networks, but it also has things like automated cars, for example. When a car is driving and it makes the decisions based on the current situation on the road.
Mhm.
That's part of artificial intelligence as well.
Right.
And speaking back to marketing, like how we can apply it in marketing, there is a great article on LinkedIn that has 15 ways of applying artificial intelligence to marketing.
Oh.
And these ways, they're related to different stages in the customer acquisition process. So one of the ways could be, for example, using artificial intelligence in segmenting the customers into groups, like putting them into different clusters. So for example, if you have leads and you want to figure out which leads would yield the highest revenue, you could apply machine learning to classify these leads. And let's say leads of highest value, you could assign the highest priority to them, and you could route them directly to your call center,
Mm.
your best performance in the call center, for example. And leads of a lower priority, you could put, let's say, on an email autoresponder, or do something else with them.
Right.
So that's just one thing. That's one example. Again, there are lots of them, and I would just like to provide a link to that article. I think that would be
Yeah,
beneficial.
that'd be really great. Really, really great. Um, and so I'm kind of fuzzy on this, but machine learning is the process of you allow like using computing power to learn and analyze and categorize different chunks of data.
Yeah.
And then artificial intelligence is, go ahead, Slava.
Artificial intelligence is the larger field that includes machine learning, neural language processing, reinforcement learning. It's when a user agent is picking the data from the environment and makes a
Mhm.
decision based on the environment and
Yeah.
on its previous actions, on the result of its previous actions, like self-driving cars, for example.
Okay.
Um, so artificial intelligence is just a larger field, and it's not a new field. It's been developed since the mid 20th century. So it's just the interest to artificial intelligence has been up and down, and there has been several AI winters, as they call them, is when the interest to this field was pretty low. But I mean, nowadays it's flourishing because we have lots of data. We have the capacity to process that data because of the computers and electronics. So that's why it's very important. It's very popular right now, and lots of people are studying how to use that.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting. So do you plan on making the switch from SEO to artificial intelligence or machine
You know
learning?
what? It's a great question because I asked this question myself several times. Um, at some point, I wanted to become a machine learning engineer, but you know what? It's still my curiosity to marketing that prevents me from doing that, and I'm more focused on how can I provide value to people I work with. So let's say if somebody comes to me and asks me about the best ways to drive traffic to their website, or the best ways to just give them clients to their business.
Mhm.
I'm using machine learning as another tool, just like Python or just like search engine optimization, to see how can I help them with that.
Mhm.
So I regard it as a tool right now. So I just keep adding this tool to my tool set.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be a bigger, well, what is bigger, AI or marketing? That's a tough question, by the way.
Well, you see, marketing will always be there.
Yeah.
uh, in different forms. We market every day, even when we don't realize that. Just like we sell every day. So AI is developing as long as the technology is developing. So right now it's on the rise. So lots of people are diving into it, and it's gonna be bigger. It's definitely gonna be bigger. It's gonna take a bigger share of our lives. So, and I think that people will become more tolerant to AI and more adaptive. Like they would not be resistant to AI. If there is some resistance right now, it will be less resistance going forward as people are more accustomed to AI.
Right.
But I cannot see, as for now, I do not see that there will be a moment in future when people lose interest to AI. It will always be developing and improving.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just like rambling off all these questions. Do you think it's easier to get into marketing or artificial intelligence?
I think it's equally. It's not difficult. I mean, it's not. It's of equal difficulty. Like, I mean, marketing might be easier because in order to get into AI, you want to understand how things work from like a nerdy side. Like, you want to understand a little bit of coding. But
Right.
luckily, there are lots of courses right now on the web,
Hmm.
and you could even learn uh, calculus, or you could learn how to code for free. There are lots of resources on YouTube. It's all about your desire. I think it's all about what you like to do the most. I mean,
Right.
the marketing will still be there. You could still make a living with marketing. You could still make a living with AI. But what I like to do, I like to combine the two. So you could
Smart.
just take the best of the both worlds. You know.
Yeah, that's very smart. Very smart. Cool. So if people, gosh, that time just kind of flew by really quickly. If people wanted to follow you or learn more about you, how would they do that?
Yeah. So my website is slavarybalka.com. Um, I also post pretty frequently on my Instagram account, which is at Slava Rybalka. Um, I also have a Twitter account, and I used to be pretty active on Twitter, like in 2012. Now I'm not that active there, but I'm also on Twitter.
Mhm.
And yeah, so these are the best ways to reach out to me.
Awesome. Sounds good. Oh, by the way, you had mentioned a cheat sheet. What is in the
Yeah,
cheat?
yeah, yeah. So that's a file. That's I compiled the best methods. I think there are 23 or something, 23 methods of search engine optimization that would work in 2019. I
Hmm.
tried to simplify it as much as possible,
Hmm.
and it's just a one-page document that people can download from my website.
Okay. Awesome.
So, yeah,
Cool. From slavarybalka.com, correct?
slavarybalka.com/SEO dash cheat sheet dash 2019.
You're going to have to post it in the comments.
I will.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to connect again and you dropped some major, major value bombs. I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this are probably thinking, "Oh my gosh, I need to learn more about AI or machine learning or, on what is it, on-site SEO and off-site
Website SEO.
SEO." There's just so much to learn. But thank
Yes.
you so much for sharing your mind and teaching us everything, that we need to know about SEO.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Sonia, for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
cool. Well, I will chat with you later. And if you guys are watching, make sure you put hashtag replay just so we know that you're watching. And I will catch you again later. Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lava.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.